Latisha Scott, Chris Fletcher, and the whole Love and Marriage, Huntsville crew. So stick with me till the end because there are some surprising moments you definitely need to hear about. Now let's talk about the situation with Fletcher and Latisha Scott. It's clear that Latisha has been on edge lately, especially because of the rumors flying around about her husband Marcia Scott cheating. There was a video made by Martell Holt in Arian featuring a young lady who claimed to be Marcia's mistress. That stirred up a lot of speculation and, naturally, a lot of tension among the cast. Nell has been pushing Latisha to address these rumors and talk about her feelings, but Latisha has been dodging the questions. Instead of answering directly, she flips the question back on Nell, asking her how she feels about it. That back and forth shows just how uncomfortable and unwilling Latisha is to openly discuss the situation, which only adds more fuel to the fire. What's interesting here is how the Scots men, Marcia and Morris, have been trying to call out Ken about dating a married woman. Ken's relationship with Trisha is under scrutiny because she is still legally married to Marquez Burnett. Ken even gave a confessional where he explained that the Scotsmen aren't the kind of people he listens to for relationship advice. He feels like he's constantly being judged and put on trial by them, especially since the same criticisms get repeated over and over. It's clear there's a lot of tension between the men, and that tension spills over into the women's interactions. Speaking of women's drama, the big moment everyone is talking about is when Latisha Scott walked up to Chris Fletcher at Trisha's 38th birthday party. She got really close, even putting her fingers in Chris's face, which Nell did not like. One bit. Nell immediately told Latisha to back off and said, "No, don't do that. You're not going to do that. Don't put your fingers in his face." Nell was clearly upset about Latisha confronting her husband like that. What really stood out was Nell's confessional after the scene where she said Chris doesn't answer to anyone but her. And the wild part is, Chris was right there with her when she said it, didn't disagree or say anything to soften the statement. Shows the kind of protectiveness Nell has over her relationship with Chris. Marcia Scott commented on this too, saying Latisha was acting like a wife approaching another man, which is unusual given that Latisha herself is in a relationship. It raises the question, why would Latisha feel the need to confront Chris directly instead of handling it through her own husband? Marcia seems to treat Latisha like a kid in these situations, often keeping information from her or telling her. They'll talk about things later, which probably explains why Tisha felt the need to step up and confront Chris herself. It's almost like she didn't expect to get all the answers she needed from Marcia, so she tried to take matters into her own hands. But this move backfired for Tisha. Nell was not having it at all, and Marcia didn't come to her defense either. Instead, Tisha was left looking a bit foolish because of how the whole thing played out. It's a classic case of how not being fully in the loop or respected by your own partner can push you to act out in ways that aren't helpful. This whole scene really shows the complicated dynamics and trust issues that exist within these couples. And friendships. Latisha herself gave a very careful and almost political answer when asked about the rumors of Marcia cheating. She said she wouldn't comment on things she hasn't personally experienced, and that she didn't even watch the interview with Martell, Claw, and the alleged mistress. That's a pretty clear way of saying she's avoiding the topic because she either doesn't want to hurt herself emotionally or doesn't want to fuel the rumors. Her refusal to engage on this issue has left many feeling like she's not being transparent, which only causes more distrust among her friends and viewers. It's also worth mentioning the drama surrounding Marquez Burnett, Trisha's husband. Even though Trisha is still married, she has been involved with Ken, which the Scotsmen have not hesitated to call out. Marquez recently posted an apology. On Instagram too, Carlos King, the show's executive producer, admitting he had an emotional reaction to the situation, but that he's working on his mental health and family. He thanked Carlos for their conversation and said it helped him see things differently. This public apology shows how much the drama is impacting everyone's personal lives and mental well-being. Carlos King has also mentioned bumping into Marquez and having a chance to talk, which may mean there is hope for Marquez to return to the show. However, Ken and Trisha are reportedly not too happy about that and might try to block it, whether Marquez comes back or not. The whole situation highlights the messy relationships and complicated love triangles that make Love and Marriage Huntsville such a gripping show to watch. One thing that really stands out in all of this is the way Nell handles her marriage with Chris Fletcher. She's very protective and clearly sets firm boundaries about what she considers acceptable behavior from others toward her husband. When Latisha walked up to Chris and got in his face, Nell didn't hesitate to shut it down immediately. That shows how serious Nell is about maintaining respect in her relationship. It's interesting, too, because Chris didn't push back or try to calm things down verbally. He simply let Nell speak for both of them. This kind of dynamic tells us a lot about their relationship and how they navigate conflict together. Meanwhile, Latisha's position is much more complicated. She's caught in a tough spot because, on one hand, she's dealing with painful rumors about her husband Marsa possibly cheating. And on the other, she feels like she's being left out of the loop or dismissed by him. This makes her lash out or take matters into her own hands, like confronting Chris directly. But this approach doesn't win her many allies, especially Nell, who sees it as crossing a line. Latisha's avoidance of openly discussing the cheating rumors, combined with her refusal to watch the interview with the alleged mistress, gives the impression that she's trying to protect herself emotionally, but also makes people question her transparency and honesty, adding even more complexity as Tisha Scott's involvement. She seems to be trying to get answers, but her strategy of confronting Chris in a somewhat public way at the party backfired. Nell called her out hard for it, which shows how fragile and tense the friendships within the group really are. Tisha's actions might have been motivated by frustration and confusion, but Nell's reaction demonstrates that there are clear rules in this social circle about how to handle conflict, and that Latisha and Tisha may have overstepped those unspoken boundaries. Ken's perspective adds yet another layer to the story. He's dealing with his own complicated relationship with Trisha, who is still legally married to Marquez Burnett. Ken's comments about not taking relationship advice from the Scots men highlight the distrust and judgment that exists between the men in the group. It's almost like there are different camps within the cast, and alliances don't always line up neatly. Ken's experience of feeling on trial shows how stressful these dynamics are, and how personal issues often spill over into public drama on the show. Finally, the whole NDA situation is a hot topic. There have been rumors that Maurice and Morris have the women sign NDAs, which adds another level of secrecy and mistrust. Chris Fletcher's comment that this sounds more like something the Scots men would do suggests that these legal agreements might be a way to control what gets said publicly, further complicating relationships and friendships. The fact that this topic sparked a lot of tension during the party shows how much suspicion and guardedness exists between the cast members. It's a reminder that behind the cameras, there's a lot more going on than what we see on screen. Back to Nell and Latisha. It's clear that boundaries are being tested here. Nell's reaction to Latisha approaching Chris was fierce, because she sees Chris as her husband who doesn't owe anyone else explanations. Latisha's decision to confront Chris directly was seen as crossing a line, especially since the men had already discussed the NDA rumors privately. Latisha could have just waited and spoken to her own husband about it instead of involving Chris. But her frustration seems to have gotten the best of her. The situation is a perfect example of how lack of communication and transparency can cause friendships to fracture and relationships to become strained. The cast members are all navigating their own issues while trying to maintain alliances and friendships. But with secrets and rumors swirling, trust is hard to come by. This confrontation at the birthday party shows just how quickly tensions can escalate when those boundaries aren't respected. As this drama continues to unfold, It will be interesting to see if Nell and Latisha can mend their relationship, or if this is the start of a bigger falling out. And with Tisha caught in the middle and looking for answers. The cast's interpersonal dynamics are more complicated than ever. I'll be keeping an eye on how these storylines develop and will bring you all the updates, so make sure you stay subscribed. Thanks again for watching this breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it with your friends.